Joe C. from Australia said this about the Angel membership. I love the variety of small group options. I live in Australia, so it's important to me to be able to connect with people in real time rather than watching everything on replay. It makes the membership active and real rather than an online course where I'm left to myself. I love that you get that community and support from the membership, Joe. Thank you so much for being a member. Hello, beautiful souls. Welcome back to the Angels and Awakening podcast. I'm your host and author, Julie Jancius, and I am so excited for today's guest because God just brought this person into my life, and I know that you listening to her are just going to put through together so many aha moments for you in your life, because what she has to talk about is what the angels are saying is the focus of this entire year. So Britney Lee, author, I am so excited to have you on the show. Welcome.
Hello, Julie. Thank you so much for having me. It's such an honor to be here.
Oh, you're so welcome. So, we were just recording a podcast episode for the kids podcast, which will air, in February when your next kids book comes out, Good Night Body. But you and I were having this fascinating conversation that I wanted to pull here onto the Angels and Awakening show. We were talking about embodiment work and how you stepped into this work and how it has become such a passion for you to teach people how to reclaim their physical bodies. And we're not talking about vanity. We're not talking about how you look. We are talking about the energy, you tuning in to your own body's energy and feeling at home, feeling safe, feeling secure. And so, you started to tell this story and I was like, no, wait, let's get it on the show. So I'm going to have you start here. How was embodiment kind of taken away from you, and how did you reclaim it for yourself?
Yeah, I love talking about this because it has been such a movement in my life and a chance to experience both myself as well as existence with the divine on a totally different level than I think I existed for a couple of decades. And so being raised in the Bible Belt of America in Christianity, and which I am still a part of. I'm a pastor at a church here in the Bible Belt in Louisiana. But a lot of that upbringing, a lot of the message that I either received explicitly or just subtly was that, our bodies are suspect. They cannot be trusted. They are bringers of false messages, especially maybe the bodies of women. They cannot be trusted for ourselves, but also for society. And so at the very best, what we could do for them is just ignore them. And at the worst, spend time or attention or any sort of investment of trust into them. And so I think what that ended up creating for me was this real dissonance between what I knew to be my spiritual life and my embodied life, which might as well not have existed. It was just something that I ignored. And so our bodies, they don't do well with that for very long. They're trying, I think, so desperately to communicate with us and help us be given information that only our bodies hold, or warnings, or memories, or guidance for what we need and who we are. And I just really practiced for a long time ignoring that because bodies can't be trusted. And I think a big piece of that shifted after childbirth for me, because my body knew things that my mind just couldn't. My mind couldn't do it anymore. I went through a pretty real and deep postpartum depression, and my mind was in pieces, but my body knew what was needed. My body knew what next step to take. And I think eventually realizing, oh, not only can my body be trusted, but it is good, and the Spirit is using it to speak to me in ways that I think I said in the last recording for the kids, that I could never think my way to that place, right, but my body could get me there. And so that's been a journey. And I think it's been a big piece of my pastoral ministry as well, is because along with that, it says, at your core, you were created good. You were created in a beautiful design that is made to prosper you. It's for the goodness of who you are and the goodness, the common good. And this is all pointing towards love and light and connection, and that can be found within us too. And so that's been a big piece of where my vocation has led me as well.
And on the kids podcast and in the work that I've done over the last year, I shared an aha moment that I had where I always have taught everywhere. This is the first time I'm bringing this through here, that there's two voices within you. When it comes to your consciousness, there you have the egoic mind that's just constantly chattering away, this voice inside of you. And you also have this voice inside of you, your consciousness, that's the intuition through which you can connect with your angels, your guides, your loved ones, with God energy. Yeah. And this aha moment came in as I got this vocal disorder, and Spirit was having me work with healer after healer after healer after healer to heal this voice disorder. And Spirit said, Julie, just as there's two voices within you, there's two bodies within you. There is the egoic body that just wants to keep you safe and secure, but in order to do that, keeps you in, it has a response that flares up that you're not recognizing, of overwhelm, of I'm not safe, of stress, of anxiety. And that is an intuitive part of your being that is communicating with you. So you have this egoic part that is really trying to keep you safe. That's its number one goal. And then if you tune into the body, you have this intuitive body that's telling you what you need. Okay. Yes, you're aware of this overwhelm, this anxiety that you're feeling, and what you need is to go outside and take a walk for 10 minutes instead of just plowing through the work that you need to get done.
Yeah, that makes me think of, I'm not going to quote it exactly, but when Brene Brown says that, if we can tell our anxiety or our fears, you can be here. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being here to keep me safe. But you can ride in the car, but you don't get to drive. You can be in the backseat. And so I feel like that's the same with, when our bodies tense up because we have just witnessed trauma. Something has happened too much has happened too fast. And, or not even that extreme. Maybe it's just a stressful week. The calendar's packed. There's a lot going on that was outside of our control, and our bodies tense up because, they're holding a lot. They're not getting what they need. They're trying to communicate to us, I'm going into protection mode. I'm going into survival mode. And if we don't tap into the bottom source of that, if we don't tap into the intuitive piece of that, then that piece of our bodies, they don't have the information that they need to really assess, am I in danger? Or am I just, needing to get my breath in order again? I think it keeps us there a little longer than we have to be a lot of times. And, or it kind of goes into extreme survival mode that would equate it to, like I said earlier, with running away from a tiger or something. Like we are in danger when really we're maybe not in danger. We're just overspent from the week. And how do we tap back in to go, okay, what are you trying to tell me right now? What's needed? What do I just need to slow down my breath so that I can tell myself that I'm safe and loved and okay and home? Or do I need to sleep? Because, I find myself saying often, like, am I sad or am I tired? Is the world burning or do I need a nap? And usually almost sometimes it's both, but almost every time, if I will just take a nap or a walk or do a breathing exercise, I can at least get to a point where I go, here's really what we're working with and what I need at this point, and reconnect in that way.
Yeah. So there are so many different tools that you can use to regulate your nervous system. And there's so many different ways to go about this. What I'm really interested in getting to the root of this year in 2023 is, how do you make it stick? How do you make it last? Because as I've looked at my own journey with this and other clients' journeys with this, those of us who grew up with a lot of trauma and did not feel safe as children, it can start to feel like those are the only energies that you ever know, is an overworking to just people please, and this perfectionism, and constantly going. And for every different person, it manifests differently and it looks different for every individual, but that's kind of what it looks like for me.
Yeah.
And how do people step off the treadmill, like that little circular rat treadmill of, step off of that and really make this stick? Because we've been living in those cycles and those patterns for decades upon decades. And one of the things that I was really fascinated to find out when digging into this work is one healer told me, Julie, you don't have to keep reliving it. It's not about shadow work. It's not about reliving the event. The trauma that is stored within your physical body isn't coming from the event. The event didn't create this. The event happened. And there was a response within your physical body, and your body keeps turning on that switch when any little micro thing happens now. And it's learning how to regulate that switch within your physical body, because 99% of people are living from this switch being turned on every day, where it is these huge emotional waves, this emotional roller coaster that they're on. And that is the set point of their nervous system.
Right.
But this work, and this is all the work that we're doing all year long in the Angel membership, is about turning off that switch so that your nervous system can live from a set point of calm and ease.
Yeah. So I am not professionally able to speak to this, but I can, as a recipient of this type of healing work, speak a little to EMDR, as a therapy has been really special to me. And as I mentioned earlier, with the postpartum journey, I would say that I existed most of my life up until that point as someone who never really related to the understanding of depression or hopelessness. I just kind of existed in a glass half full sort of wavelength. And then it took me to a place I had not been before, where I could say, I looked at my husband one day and I said, "Hey, I don't have any hope." And that was the truest thing I could speak in that moment, and the furthest thing from anything I had experienced before.
Friends, what if there was nothing stopping you from becoming abundant to the max in all things? Finances, time, nothing was holding you back from becoming your healthiest, happiest, most financially abundant self yet. Friends, thanks to our annual and monthly Angel members, we've been able to grant over $100,000 in partial scholarships so that souls who want access to life-changing teachings in the Angel membership have that opportunity. And we have more partial scholarships to give. Don't let your egoic mind tell you that you're not worthy, because the angels and I are here telling you, you are worthy. This is your year. But I can't help you get where you're going if I'm not working with you in one of my programs. Become an Angel member now. Go to theangelmedium.com, then the Angel membership tab to sign up. If you need a scholarship, let us help you. Scroll to the bottom of the Angel membership page and click the link for partial scholarship options. Links are in the show notes. And thank you. Thank you for coming together as a community. Thank you for contributing what you can each month. And thank you for helping us reach hundreds of deserving souls with life-changing teachings in the Angel membership this year. This is going to be your best year yet.
And so, when I started doing, and this was years after that, probably 3 years in, 3 or 4, where I really felt like I needed to do some deep therapy to get back into those places. And one of the things that the EMDR therapy did was, you spend some time trying to identify or let a memory, an instance from the trauma come to you. And again, with our intuition and the connection to our body and spirits and mind, trusting that if we take that space, that we will be communicated with what memory we need, and there was this moment I was there in this process, and this very vivid memory that I had not thought about in years came to mind. And it was the moment where I realized that I could not feed our son. And not only was I sort of spiraling in postpartum depression, but we had gone in for maybe the 4th checkup where he was continuing to lose weight. And it was just this spiral of, my body cannot be trusted. I cannot, my body's not doing what it needs to do, and feeling far from that. And what I was encouraged to do in the therapy was go to that moment. And in the memory, I'm at my mom's house. It's like close to the 4th of July. My son is not gaining weight. And I am in a back room, isolated, sobbing, where in a moment where I can't feed him. And I realize this is never going to work in this way. And the therapist says, now invite safe and trusted people into that room with you. And so I'm there, and doing the rapid eye movement, and I invite my closest, most trusted friends into the room, and they sit with me, and the therapist says, okay, now regulate your breathing in that space. And so what ended up happening with my journey through that was that what I wasn't realizing was happening is when I would see someone else breastfeeding, when I would see someone else going through postpartum, when I would think about the idea of getting pregnant again, my body would viscerally just shut down and I would go through, a real trauma response. But after that point, I felt like something had been rewired in me because I had taken safe people to unsafe places and now they existed there. Mm-hmm. And it was huge. It was entirely liberating on so many different levels. And but then in addition to that, I think one thing that outside of EMDR work was just kind of the consistency of, I've been reading a lot about gratitude and gratitude practices. And, I can get to a point where I'm thinking, am I just, writing in this gratitude journal and reframing everything and just trying to live in a false world where of false positivity. But the more I read about consistency in gratitude work, the more I read about resiliency that comes from gratitude work. And so the idea that even if it doesn't make sense on this Tuesday, 14 Tuesdays from now, the consistency between then and now will make all the difference with the resilience that we bring to the world because of how we are, where we're putting our intention and our focus. And so I think the same with breath work or tuning in. And this is a piece that I'm not great at, is the consistency. But I do think that it makes a huge difference for how to live in that space when we are, longer. I feel like the longer we do it, the longer we can go existing with the fruits of that investment.
Amazing. I love how you broke that down. And as I was putting together all of the content for 2023 in the Angel membership, the angels said there's 4 distinct pieces to this work. The first is tuning in and just having this awareness of your physical body. Yeah. And then the second piece is implementing tools, having the right tools in your toolbox to regulate the nervous system, regulate your energy. If the body feels unsafe, coming back to a place of safety and security within the body. The third piece is making yourself, and I'm going to rephrase that. The angels just said, nope. Making your needs a priority in your life. And then the fourth piece to this is abundance, because when you do all of those, you come into a freedom and an openness within your energy, your mind, your auric field, your chakras, where you just, everything that people teach with manifestation and co-creation, it's like once you have gone through those first 3 steps, everything unlocks. And we had talked about like magic before, like it's just magic, like life becomes magical, and these miracles and these blessings, you can just constantly see them showing up in your life. And I had to go through some pretty hard things in 2022 that I didn't talk about on the podcast, but what happened was I felt that unsafe feeling within my physical body. And I had the tools this time, the entire year, to regulate my emotional system. And, I was able to just say, God, I have zero control over this thing that is completely untrue. You just take the wheel and you do whatever you need to do here. But I'm coming back to safety and security within my own body. And it was a completely different experience of life. And you know what came up for me, Britney? And Spirit said, you'll get this too on a different level because you've been through it. You start to feel a sense of freedom when you get to that place, because it's like nobody can say anything. Nobody can do anything to take you away from yourself anymore.
Yes.
That you are able to know yourself so well, know your energy so well, regulate your energy so well that nobody else has that control over you. And that is pure freedom.
It is. Well, and if you can imagine what a world would be like, because what I hear you describing is the sense of being home no matter where you are.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter, what wilderness you're in, what pain you're experiencing, what loss you're experiencing. If you can be home within yourself, if you are living in abundance, I love that you named that as a word, because that has been just on my radar. And especially in pastoral ministry too, is how do we exist? We say a lot, if you look at any of the stats, any of the polls, the idea of the church as it has stood, as it's existed, is declining. At least Western idea of it is declining, is dying. And my stance on that, my language for that has been, if we come from a place of scarcity, we will create what we're so afraid of. Yeah. But if we come from a place of abundance, even death is what leads to birth. Even the lowest place, we say a lot, even the compost, the ground is not the grave, it's the compost. Where are we heading next? And I think that a sense of abundance as truth, makes for a less violent world. It makes for a less lonely existence, because there is enough. Everything I need is within me. And even though I could be as out of place as anyone's ever been and still be home, and there's a sense of healing there and safety and security that can't be bought. That is, but to have you name those tools, because I think if you just told someone, will yourself to be, of an abundant mindset, you just can't get there by, again, thinking your way into abundance. You're not going to get there, but tuning in.
Yeah. And you can't, sorry. I hate interrupting people. And you can't think your way to joy. There is what we're talking about here today is a part of your intuition, a part of your soul that has to be felt. The only way to step into joy is to feel it. The only way to step into abundance is to feel it. And when your nervous system is constantly in these emotional waves of ups and downs, which for like 99% of people, that's everybody in our collective consciousness right now.
Yeah.
When you get to a point where your entire set point is ease and calm, and I'm not saying that things don't come up, but you have the tools to work with them. You get to this place where you feel your own joy. And I believe that is your spirit, right? Like that joy, what you were talking about when you were saying you looked at your husband and you were like, I don't have any more hope. That's a depletion of our spirit. And people will say all the time, oh, well, this will heal your soul. No, it won't. The soul is the part that's one with God. I mean, your soul is always whole. It's your spirit that is here in this lifetime. And people will break your spirit. They might not mean to intentionally, but life will break your spirit if you let it. And this work helps you step fully into your spirit and feel your joy. And that brings this abundance, which is just incredible.
Yeah, it does. And as you're speaking, the phrase that keeps coming into my mind is the truest truth.
Yeah.
it's not that trauma isn't true. It's not that loss isn't true. It's not that, like, these are true things that happen and that are a piece of us. And again, you get to be in the car, but you don't get to drive. You know, you gotta get in the back. And so I think what the idea of scarcity comes when we say that is the truth. Like the truth is that all that exists is loss and fragility and pain and disconnect. But I think that it is a truth that those things do connect, that exist, and that we experience them, and that they're real, and that they are trying to protect us.
Yeah.
But the truest truth is that they're just a symptom of protection of the thing that is the most real. And that is that enough, like we have enough. Abundance is here. We have what we need. We are home. We are good. We are connected. We are interdependent. And those are the truest truths. Those are, I think, what is at the bottom, implanted by our soul.
All right, I have two more things.
Yeah.
One is, when it comes to doing this work for yourself and the toolbox that you have developed of tools to help regulate your own energy, what has helped you the most?
So we spoke a little bit in the kids' recording about box breathing. I do a lot of box breathing. That's my first go-to breath exercise. And that's the imagining a box where it's 4 breaths in, hold for 4-second count, inhale, hold for 4 seconds, exhale for 4, and hold for 4. And then you repeat. And that helps me at least get to a place where, you know, my heart feels like it's calm. My body feels like it can release a little bit, and maybe I can process a little differently. And another thing that I had this, I have a friend who does a lot of intuitive work. You know, how can I continue to do embodiment work while also working through some of my triggers that are connected with past pieces of my life. And one of the things that she suggested was making a playlist with songs from those past versions of myself, those past moments, but songs that were really important for joy or freedom or connection, even amidst all those times. And so to make that playlist, and as you know, I'm walking, a lot of times I'll do it on the elliptical so that I can close my eyes. And there's something about, you know, as you're using your right and your left legs and you're using your body that can access parts of that brain and part of your experience that I had not been able to get into before. So I've got a playlist, and it's just called Returning, because it's returning to different parts, and I'll go to that a lot. And then contemplative prayer is really important for me, especially in the morning. So I try to do, again, with the consistency. I'm not great with that's the thing to work on in 2023. But if I had an ideal rhythm, it would begin the day with contemplative prayer to center, and then it would end the day with a gratitude practice to reflect. So yeah, those are some of my standards.
I love it.
I find myself back at. Yeah.
I love it. Well, and what you were talking about before, I was like, I checked you out before I invite, because your publisher like reached out and they were like, would you have her on the podcast? And I was like, from Louisiana, I'm just going to kind of go on over here and just, and then I found like your anti-racism work, you know, like, and all the stuff that you have done and all of the stuff that you believe in and promote. And I really believe that, we're all just spiritual teachers, you know, serving,
Yeah.
God, Universe, Source. And what they keep talking about is the rise of the priestess. And I think that's in all different areas. So tell people where they can find your church, if it's online too, and where they can find your book, Good Night Body.
Yeah, absolutely. So I am at Grace Community United Methodist Church, and that's gracehappens.org. And, we archive our sermons there. So that can be found there. And then I'm on Instagram and my website, both are Britney Lee. And books are sold online at Barnes & Noble, Amazon, Target.
And they can pre-order, right?
Pre-order, yes. Good Night Body. And I'll show this for your YouTube people. Good Night Body is up for pre-order right now. And it's got such a fun, we got to work with Tommy Nelson, the publisher, on some really fun incentives for parents. And there's an intro to body scanning in there for adults to help understand in ways that aren't too abstract for kids. But there's also like a fun little printable pocket pause to help regulate when you have a meltdown in public, which we have our fair share of. And so, it's just a little pocket pause to put in your pocket, and you can pull out when you and your little person need to regulate. And yeah,
that's awesome.
It's so fun. Yeah.
It's so fun. Brittany, thank you so much for all the work that you do in the world. I just felt the hugest heart-to-heart connection with you the entire time we got to talk, and just so grateful that God, Universe, Source brought us together.
Yes, you are a light. I'm so thankful to have connected, and I look forward to staying in touch.
Yay, you too. All my love. And friends, if you are fascinated by this work and everything that we talked about today, take a look at the Angel membership and go through this year-long experience with us. We're bringing in an intuitive wellness coach. We're bringing in over 24 healers who are going to walk us through various different tools. And what I talked about before, those 4 components are the 4 components that make up the entire year. So we're bringing you into an awareness of how to tune in to your own body's energy so that you become an expert at that. We're giving you tools and giving you access to so many different healers, so many different methods, so many different tools, so that you know which tools work for you and what don't, and you can implement them into your life. And then we're helping you to prioritize your needs. We're helping you to see where you can best communicate those needs directly in a nice, loving way, but you can be more direct with that conversation. And then the last quarter of the year is really focusing on feeling the freedom, feeling that abundance, really stepping into your life and being in the energy of expecting miracles and expecting abundance is a completely different way of living your life. And so that's where we're taking you to over the course of the year. Thank you so much for being here. Love you, friends. Beautiful soul, thank you so much for joining me today. My name's Julie. You know I'm all about connecting you with messages from your angels and loved ones on the other side. If you've been listening today and you're super excited and just have to know which angels are around you right now, who's connecting with you, and what messages they have for you, go to theangelmedium.com. Register for a session. You can do a reading with me or a member of my team, and we can help you in making sure that your angels are doing the very best they can to support you and guide you to your best life. If this sounds like you, virtual sessions, they're only offered on my website. Sign up today. And if you're the person who's really excited, you can sign up for my Angel Reiki School to become a certified angel messenger. That's for the healers among us who feel called to grow their intuition to the max and serve humanity with their gifts. You'll learn Reiki, mediumship, how to deliver angel messages, and how to get clients. That's the Angel Reiki School at theangelmedium.com or DM me on Instagram at Angel Podcast with any questions. Before you go, connect with your angels by placing your hands on your heart. Take a deep breath. Imagine a doorway filled with God's unconditional love is right in front of you. Step into that love and feel it as it fills your body, chakras, and auric field. Now ask your angels, what would you have me know today? And open yourself to the positive, loving messages they have just for you.